What you're about to hear is an excerpt from our weekly podcast. It's available right now to our Patreon supporters over at www.patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and it goes live to everyone else right here on our YouTube channel a week later. Enjoy. So why don't you tell us about Wipeout?
So yeah, I've been playing the Wipeout Omega Collection on PS4.
Which is a remake, is it?
It's a remaster of 3 different Wipeout games. Wipeout 2048 for the Vita, and HD and Fury, which are on PS3.
Right, okay.
And immediately, as soon as you boot up the game, it's like the presentation is like immaculate.
Yeah.
Like the UI is like super clean, easy to find everything in the menus.
Yeah.
Like you can tell they've got some like very talented like graphic art designers behind this game.
It looks very nice, like graphically and stuff. Didn't you get a 4K TV very recently? And then this was like let's see what this can do. Let's see what this baby can do kind of game.
As like a technical showcase for the PS4, the Omega Collection is actually like really good.
You're running it on the Pro, right?
Yeah, PS4 Pro, which you can do 4K, native 4K at 60 frames a second. It's really nice just to look at, like visually.
This is what upsets me about this 4K discussion. I'm quite a technically literate person, right? I've had a few PCs in my time. I've had a few tellies. I know what to do with them. There's native 4K, true 4K. I have explained the difference myself on the channel to other people. I've forgotten what the difference is, right?
Upscaling, checkerboarding.
Yeah, exactly. So native 4K, is that the best one?
Does that mean it's actual 4K?
Is that what Microsoft?
It is the best. It means it's like actual 4K.
Rendered 4K.
Yeah, it's like no cheap upscaling tricks or anything like that. It's
That made it sound like you were a reference to someone, like, mentioning no names.
Sorry, just clearing the throat. Yeah, it is like
real life 4K that nothing else can beat.
No cheap tricks or upscaling or anything.
Proper. We'll just call it that. Real. Proper.
Yeah.
Actual 4K. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
Just call it that.
Sorry, there's side railing you.
As for the like actual gameplay, it's Wipeout. You know, like it hasn't really changed all that much since PS3.
I remember playing Wipeout, Super Nintendo days, like the
or PS1 it was.
Was it PS1?
PS1
still
it was that same era for me.
Yeah, they were right close to each other.
So it's like what's changed since then? That's what I'm asking about. So I'm thinking, like, is the gameplay the same? Are it just different maps? Is it just different? Is it just prettier now?
The last Wipeout game I actually played was on the PS2, so I missed out on like the entire like PS3 Vita games. So I probably wouldn't be the best equipped to say what's changed since the like original game.
You're still floating above a track and there's like on rails.
Yeah, it's still like anti-gravity like racing sort of thing.
Yeah. It's the only kind of racing game that remotely appeals to me because it's racing in space kind of thing. It's like because they're space race.
Space race.
I'm saying space, but I mean sci-fi. They're hovering. That's enough. That's enough to different. But there's like weapons and stuff in there.
There's like races which are just like literally just point A to point B races. Okay. There's like laps, and then there's like combat events where you have to get a certain amount of points before you can even take home a medal.
Can you customize your vehicle in any way?
You can't customize it yourself, but there are like different skins you can unlock.
Oh, right, okay.
So, like,
you can't change the performance or anything? Or...
No, it's like there's different classes ships like from different manufacturers, and they all have like different stats. Like AG system ships are like slightly slower, but they go like can handle better around corners.
Oh, okay. So it's just a trade-off. You got to make a tactical kind of decision.
It's kind of like in Mario Kart.
I was going to say that Mario Kart, but
it's
I'm going to sound like an idiot if I say that.
It is exactly where each racer has like a certain strength.
Yeah.
So like Mario's an all-rounder, but Toad is like all speed.
Yeah.
It's that same sort of system.
So what I want to get to is when you were talking about this in the office, and I was asking what you want to talk about in the podcast. You said you could rant about this.
I could.
Why?
I have a fair few problems with the game. So when you actually the first like half of the game, it's like they're fun. They're like there's a good amount of challenge to them. There's a nice variety, and it's plenty enough to keep you entertained.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get into like the second half, the difficulty spikes. Super hard.
So it's a really hard game all of a sudden. That's what you're upset about.
Completely out of the blue. Not upset. Just it's like I wish it could have been a bit more gradual.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate frustration.
Absolutely.
I remember doing one race and I was like, oh, that was like a nice challenge. Like they were like not letting me win, but like giving me a fair amount of like.
You could do it. It was achievable. Like,
yeah, it was achievable. And then I went straight into the next race, and it was brutal. I hit the corner once because I got rammed to the side, put me all the way back to 8th place. And I couldn't catch her.
8th is last. Right?
Yeah, that is frustrating, isn't it? Especially in a racing game where you can see the difference so night and day. Like you could beat that group of racers, and then the next one, it's just impossible. If you make one error, you just can't do it. I definitely appreciate that. So is that like the old school design that's just they haven't changed at all and they've just kept it exactly the same?
I don't know, because I've seen it in a fair few racing games where all of a sudden it's like nigh on impossible to beat like the late game AI. In combat events in Wipeout, there's usually like quite fairly balanced with the weapons, but then the late stage races that I'm at now, it's like constant getting hit like missile after missile, and then like there's a move called Quake, which is like the blue shell equivalent in Wipeout.
Okay.
And that happened to me 5 times in one race. Usually it happens once a race at most.
I find it so funny that you're like waltzing through Neo and you're like, Neo's
That's what
not
I mean.
that
My
hard.
problem with this game is
And
it's
then
just
like
too bloody hard.
Wipeout, I can't, it's too hard. Yeah,
Some
it's funny.
Some of the races in Wipeout at this point are bordering nigh on impossible.
If you're, I want this game. I'm interested in it because it's sci-fi racing. I want to get into that. But the fact that you're saying it's hard makes me feel like I wouldn't like stand a chance. Like I just wouldn't be able to. Well, I wouldn't have the patience and I wouldn't have the skills and the learning to sort it out kind of thing. So it's kind of putting me off a little bit. The fact that you're struggling with it, which says a lot to me.
Don't let it put you off. Just don't play the later races.
Some people like a
just
challenge.
leave it on.
There is that. So and some people are like nuts for racing games.
Exactly.
Like, some games are really hard at the start and then they're too easy towards the end.
But so fundamentally though, it looks great. It's very fun to play, and it just gets very difficult after a while.
My other major complaint with it is it's at this point it's like repetitive as shit.
Right.
It feels like I've seen the same tracks hundreds of times.
Yeah.
I've heard the same songs. Literally got the same like repetitive techno beat like ingrained into my brain at this point. I've heard the same songs that many times.
How many hours have you put into this?
I'm honestly not sure. Not that many, because it's not a terribly long game. It's just there's a lot of content. It's just that content's repeated because there's a lot of events per like remastered game.
Yeah.
You end up seeing them like so many times. It just it feels like a chore.
When you say this is my confusion. When you say game, then is it all 3 of the old games that have been compiled into one game, or like Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection? It's very clear that it's 3 games. You start them from new. Is it like that, or is it one big game that's compiled all the stuff from the other games into
That's a
one?
good question.
It's a bit of a strange one. So like all the gameplay mechanics across all 3 of them are like identical.
Right. Yeah.
But there are 3 distinct campaigns. Each has like a different art style, different UI,
Right.
like that sort of thing. So it's like a weird hybrid sort of design.
Yeah.
Where like they've kept the old classic design for fans, but at the same time they've tried to make it this like one cohesive package.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've not seen it explained. I was thinking like if they bundled it into one game. So in terms of the difficulty, did you do like half of campaign 1 it was too hard and you went to campaign 2? Is it like that, or
So like
the last half of all 3 of them sort of thing?
that's probably like how easily distinguishable, because you can do it like you go for the first campaign, starts like shallow end, then by the end it's like that's when it gets to the brutal difficulty. Then if you move on to the next campaign, it starts like that cycle over again.
So you got 3 campaigns there, not one big one. That's good. Is it online?
Yeah, there's multiplayer. You can like
How'd you go with that yet?
I haven't actually had a go yet. I don't know.
Probably be easier than the AI at this point. Do you know what I mean? It's probably loads of fed up people like you just like, fuck this, I'm playing against other people.
Chilling out with some real humans. Yeah. Thanks for watching this podcast extract. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. It's a good idea to subscribe because we put out a new gaming video every day. There's another video on your screens right now if you want to watch that, and a link to Patreon if you want to watch the full podcast right now. See you next time.